All right. For the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So this is the Gateway Board of School Directors Study Session Meeting, Tuesday, September 13. We had executive session before this meeting to discuss personnel matters, so sorry we're running a little bit late. We try not to do that. Could I have the roll call, please, Ms. Isha?
Mr. Boba.
I am here.
Mrs. Ricci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
McBride.
Here.
Ms. Mungo.
Here.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Dr. Singh.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here. Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any comments from residents on agenda items?
No one's called in advance.
No one called in, but we do have someone in the audience who is getting up. Please, you know the drill, ma'am.
Jeanette Beagle, resident of Monroeville. I have a question about a couple things on the agenda. First, I see we have one of our science teachers at the middle school going to a dean of students position there. If you could just elaborate a bit more on what that job description is, what the expectations are, all of that good, happy stuff, I would greatly appreciate it. And also see this Old Wayas survey results. What grades? Was that all students or a certain section of students? And
Dr. Rossi will review that as well.
okay, just what percentage of those students, like was it 100% completion? What percentage of those? And then my other stuff was non-agenda, so.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else on comments on agenda items?
Cheryl Monroeville. Dr. Short, I don't know if you can clarify this when you get to school police. How many do we have today? You were waiting for that report from the state police, which I'm assuming by now it's complete, I hope.
We do have 2 assessments that are finished. We have to wait until the start of the school year, which just commenced, to continue our operations, but we do have 2 assessments completed.
Okay, so can you give us a breakdown when you do it? Because I know there's stuff you can't tell us from that report. But as far as the school police, how many are SROs? How many security guards? How many in each building?
Mrs. Crump has that, but I'm pretty confident we're at about 9 full-time SROs. We do have at least 2 security guards or hall monitors, essentially, that are non-SROs. And we're still looking to hire individuals as well. Yes, including a possibility of a Monroeville SRO.
A Monroeville police officer?
Police officer, yes. Correct.
Okay. So this is unfolding, you're still.
Absolutely.
Okay. One last thing. I don't know if this is a rumor, but since we're talking about security and we're talking about police, something happened at UP today, somebody pulled up, threw out beer cans, whatever. My question is fences.
There was an issue today at University Park Elementary School. Mrs. Hoffner, the principal, did notify my office, and I immediately communicated with the board that there was an individual who drove onto the campus. And my understanding is went around the back of the building. There are horses that kind of prevent individuals from moving or driving onto the playground area.
Wooden horses.
Wooden horses, exactly. Yes. Students were out on the playground area, and this individual did pull up and at that time get out of his car and decided to throw away empty beer cans, empty cases of beer. And the staff was there. They attempted to readdress the individual. The individual became belligerent. We did capture it on video, and we believe we have the license plate number as well.
Okay, good. Just one word, fence.
Fencing.
Right. Just leave that out there, fencing, because that's
Yes.
one way to help protect the kids when that stuff happens.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Should I just want to clarify, you mentioned 2 hall monitors. I believe we have 3. We have one at Ramsey also,
That is correct, yes.
which he has his SRO training, so I just want to,
You're right.
okay, put that out there.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to board member discussion items. This is kind of freestyle for anyone who has something, any board members that have something they'd like to bring in front of the public, discuss. Anyone who feels like going, go ahead. There's no.
I do.
Mr. Williams, we're going to go reverse alphabet. I like it.
I'd like to form a personnel committee that oversees the hiring of administrators and athletic directors, and that also has access to resumes and any applications through Google Docs. I feel, talking to my other colleagues around the immediate area, they do the same thing. All we do is see a name come in front of us, and a number of us have had people apply for positions here and not receive phone calls or anything like that. And we feel, some of my colleagues feel that it would be prudent for us to get involved and have 2 or 3 members on that committee that sit in while the HR director may ask questions, and they follow up with any questions that are asked, and also be able to grade the candidates. So actually be a part of the hiring process.
Scotty, you and I talked about this with a couple other board members for a couple minutes on this, and we also thought it would be good to have some of the school board members rotate through. So if the committee consists of, I don't know, like 3 school board members, then drop one and add another one so that throughout the whole year, all of us, each of us gets to be in that cycle and be on an active part of working with personnel questions or issues or concerns, et cetera. So it doesn't become locked into a certain small set of folks, because then we have, again, the issue of lack of communication among and between board members, internally and externally. So this would be a nice way to help form or structure that committee. I like that idea.
So isn't that, we have these committees and any board member can walk into it and is
Sure.
part of it? So if there are 2 board members, it's not, a committee is not exclusive to them, and all board members remain part of it.
Right. Board committees are more of a suggestion, more of an attempt to keep things orderly and to distribute work amongst the group. But I think by the structure, the president is a member of every committee, but everyone has input and access to everything, as long as we avoid quorums and things of that nature. So absolutely, you want to wander in, no one's going to kick you out.
Thank you.
Along those same lines, other schools in the state of Pennsylvania, there are 500 school districts. Others have a rotation among the president and the vice president. So in any given year, all of the school board members have served as a president for 1 or 2 meetings or vice president for
Well,
1
I
or 2
think that's a terrible idea. That might be the worst idea I've ever heard, John.
of these.
But I think come January, we should think about that seriously. My term's over in January, in case you're wondering.
December.
When is it?
December.
Let's do it in December.
Options for us to increase our level of service to the community and to each other. That's all we're
Excellent.
looking for.
Worth discussing.
I think we have to change our policy.
That's okay.
Yeah. I mean, we in principle, we can change every year anyway.
School code.
So we don't need an additional rotation, I don't think.
So throw that in there, Mr. Dice.
The election of the president and various officers is all set out in the school code.
Right.
And it also defines what it is that the president does. I don't know how you would switch that every, let's say, quarter or whatever. I think that you need some continuity when it comes to the president, because he works, or she works, in conjunction with the superintendent to form the agenda. I mean, there's a lot of different things that the president does. I just caution you on that.
Signatures and
Yeah.
checks, financial,
Yeah.
and like there's a lot of
I'm getting new
change.
signatures every quarter
Probably the minimum.
with banks and financial institutions.
But I want to add, this is the brilliance of this board discussion idea that someone came up with.
I don't know who came up with
Yeah, it was a good idea, because this is how it should work. So yeah, excellent. So now we know that the committee thing, Dr. Singh's idea, fine. Rotating presidency probably won't work.
One more thing with regard to this personnel committee that you're thinking about. Remember, you can't have a quorum.
I actually said those words a few minutes
So
ago.
you know who sets that personnel committee is the president.
It is me, that's true.
And I do think it's important that the viewing public understand that
I nominate
Through the
Jack Rowe for
process.
president.
where we do recommend a candidate, there's always the information, resume, application, everything that goes out to the board. At that point in time, the ball is in their court to determine if they want to approve the individual or not.
And just to be clear, there have been times in the past when Gateway board members have sat in on interviews.
That is correct.
We all are, I think, aware of what should or shouldn't be said. And in the case of board members being part of interviews, less is clearly more, because there are a number of things you
Potential
can't,
litigation issues that
of course.
have popped up in the past.
So we'll need to talk about, Scotty, is how to structure this, how to make it part of our operation, which positions this committee will be part of in the interview process. Okay, I like it.
My turn. Are we going? I would like to look into possibly getting, I don't want to say possibly getting, but getting these QR code readers that we can put throughout the schools. So whether it's our hall monitors, whether it's our SROs, whether it's our police officers, that they will scan, that they do rounds throughout the school. So in case we have students that
Hide in the bathroom.
thank you, they could scan to say, oh, well, we checked and nobody was in there. So that's making sure that all areas are covered.
When you say all areas,
I'm talking all through the schools, at all the schools. We're talking the auditorium, we're talking bathrooms, we're talking back hallways.
stalls,
So will you create a timeline like they do in a public restroom at this time?
So kind of like UPMC hospitals or like the county buildings or whatever, they, you know, there's different levels of applications and programs that you can purchase. Some of them will give you different timelines. So maybe one person has, you know, section A, whatever that looks like in the school, right? And you know, something goes off and they say, okay, well, I'm going to go in door 1 of the auditorium and walk through it, scan door 1, scan door 2, come out the back and just make sure that there's nobody.
I guess the question I'm asking, will it be done every 30 minutes, every hour?
Depending on the apps that you buy, you can negotiate that. Like that would be something that everybody would need to have a discussion about what that.
Randomized.
What that, yeah, it could be random, or like they're supposed to walk the perimeter 2 times a day. So, you know, some of them don't even have to be timed. It's just that they did it. So that depends on what the school's looking for. You can play with those times. So they are random or set in different sections. And then you can determine where you want that, you know. They're here in the school, so if there's a problem, you know, I know some, not now, but people used to hide in the auditorium, right? Because you could. Okay, you know, things
Does that
along.
mean we have people that we've hired who are not doing their job?
That means that we're just ensuring, it's just another measure to ensure the safety.
Their job that we hired them for.
To ensure that they do, that the safety of the schools, you know?
Which is the job that they were hired to do.
Well,
Right.
I'm just saying,
asking.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The teachers are hired to teach, but they still get evaluated every couple of weeks, or if there's a problem, somebody goes in and spot checks them. I'm not saying that they're not doing their job. I'm giving them another layer in safety, another layer of protection, you know, to help ensure. And it's just not the police department, it would be for the, you know, the hall monitors or, you know, or if a teacher
Another
is.
layer of safety is just another layer for us to make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Or that these rooms are checked. I mean, sometimes there's not enough of them.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, no, it's not to ensure people are doing their
I know it sounds like it is, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Isn't that, I mean.
It certainly
yeah,
sounds
I
like
mean,
it.
She's not saying it as a negative.
Yeah, because if they don't scan, then we know they didn't do their job,
Yeah.
right? So we're
Right.
checking to make sure
But
they
but
do
I'm
their
saying it
job.
doesn't just have to be limited to the police officers.
And I'm not saying
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have my background, but I'm not saying this, I'm not saying you're attacking anyone. I'm just asking questions, because people who are watching this are asking the same question.
and that was my question to Mrs. Warning about you know, and it wasn't trying to be funny by any stretch, but when she said everywhere, all areas. When we go into a bathroom and then some kids maybe stand on a toilet to disguise themselves, not to be seen, you know, that monitor may be just opening up the door, checking the bathroom, and you're still going to miss someone.
Right, and that doesn't ensure that we're not gonna miss someone, but it says, hey, you know what, we went in there, they didn't see anybody in the stalls. Unfortunately, he was hiding, he had anxiety about going to class, he wasn't feeling well, he didn't know that he could trust an adult. Those things do happen. You know, but you also, I mean, there's an array of both things that happen, and I'm not even saying just necessarily, I was kind of joking with the bathroom, but you know, my thought was a little bit bigger, like the auditorium space, or maybe walking through the back.
The largest building, it is.
It is, and you know, and I'm not saying just the police. Pick, you know, a couple of your hall monitors, or if you have a teacher or a counselor, like, oh, well, they'll hit section A. And again, that's something that you guys can look at.
Yeah, there's some contractual issues there that we gotta.
There's also that we've had issues with people that have defaced the bathroom. So, you know, if a custodian goes in, they scan it and say, okay, everything was fine there or whatever. And, you know, at least it's been checked. And, you know,
Or the doors being propped open by students.
We have cameras that we're able to.
correct, but this is just,
A human level.
Yeah.
this is just an added layer. I just feel that, you know, something should be done.
What we can do is get a cost on those and put those in every building, but come back and we could vote on it as a board.
Del, do you happen to know of any other school districts in the Commonwealth that do this?
I do not.
I did not check school districts. I know, like the hospitals in the county. And
Oh, we
stuff.
can be a leader in something if it makes us a better and safer district, sure. Anything else, Ms. Warning?
No, that's it. Thank you very much, Mr. Bova.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, excellent, thank you. Good topics, that's the way it should work. Let's move on to Section B, bills
Section B,
and financial report.
Bills and Financial Report. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors approves Sections B1 list of bills as listed in Section B at the Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 regular board meeting. Item 1, Financial Report, Section B1 list of bills, September 2022.
Any questions on that? I didn't hear. Nothing. Okay. Let's move on, please. Take it over there, Dr. Shorts. We've got nothing for tabled
Section
items.
B, personnel agenda, Mrs. Crump.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Short. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda items, action items 1 through 3 as listed in Section B for the study session meeting of Tuesday, September 13th. Under employment, we have 4 recommendations for one-year teachers. We have a memorandum of understanding between the Gateway School District and the DEA concerning cyber instruction. And also, we are recommending the approval of the resignation of employee 2525 effective September 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Motion was made by Mr. Ritter, seconded by Ms. Mungo. Any questions on that?
What is our HR director allowed to tell the public about the memorandum of understanding? I mean, the public sees a memorandum of understanding. What
Let me
is
jump
that?
ahead. Let's jump ahead to the third subject, which is the subject dealing with employee number 2525.
Okay.
And that's accepting a resignation. As you see on the agenda, it's listed as termination/resignation. Since our last go-round with this individual, there has been a negotiation with the union, and we have come up with a settlement agreement that outlines a series of terms and conditions whereby this employee can never become an employee of Gateway School District again. He will be giving up his rights to sue, his rights to continue to argue that he's entitled to some sort of employment here. That becomes very critical He has rights, as we've said to you before, notwithstanding the activities that took place. Defendants have rights, and he would have a right to continue to argue that he should be absolved of these transgressions. That certainly is not borne out by the facts, not borne out by the admissions made. And I would say to you that you have a very strong case that makes out a reason for termination. However, in this day and age, when you terminate somebody, they acquire or continue to inure certain rights, such as health care. If you were to terminate the individual, he would be entitled to continue to get health care pending the arbitration and the litigation, which could last 2 years. So you could be paying health care for this individual for a very long time, notwithstanding the fact that you may have decided to terminate him. With the settlement, with the resignation, he gives up all of those rights. He gets nothing except what's agreed to in that memorandum, and that is just the current month, and that's it. So in essence, he would still be facing criminal charges. He will also continue to face educator misconduct charges through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. As a practical matter, I will say to you that educator misconduct is handled strictly by the Commonwealth, but they're very, very slow. It could take a couple of years to see that find its way through the system. This way you bring about finality, all of a sudden it's done. There are no more strings attached to this. He's out of your system by accepting the resignation versus going through a process of termination, which could last literally years. And today, you don't know what people are going to do. You don't know who's going to cooperate and who isn't 2 or 3 years from now when you're sitting there trying to try the case. You have to rely on other individuals that sometimes don't cooperate. And I'm not saying that would happen in this case, but I would suggest to you that the best business decision you can make is to accept his resignation and have done with it, have it over and closed. I'll entertain any questions you might have.
So Bruce, if we decide to accept the resignation and not terminate, okay, if we decided to terminate and the charges, the criminal charges that he's facing are either dropped to a lower offense, there's a plea, or due to, we have no idea in the criminal law, if he gets off on those, then he can come back to us and sue us back for his job.
He can do that.
And back pay.
He can do that whether the charges are reduced or not reduced. He's giving up those rights to sue in the resignation. That's what's critical about this.
Okay.
He's not doing anybody any favors here. The fact remains is, he admitted to doing some things wrong, and it's in the affidavit of probable cause. Police officers have confirmed it. So while I say that to you, the fact remains is, as long as it continues to pend and the door is open through arbitration, because they've already filed a grievance, that process will continue. It could take 2 years. I have another jurisdiction, we're 2 years out, and it's similar. Facts aren't the same, but they're on the same color. And we're literally 2 years out and still haven't had the arbitration. So they're paying Blue Cross, or they're paying the health care, and in that case, there isn't as much cooperation with the parties that are involved. Here, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's a good business decision to cut the tie and limit everybody's opportunity to go any further with this. You don't have to spend any more money. I mean, not that money is important. It's important that the public know that you're not standing for what's going on here. He's resigning and you're cutting him off. He's not getting any other benefits, and he's now given up his opportunity to arbitrate or to do any other civil matters through this district.
You use the word settlement. I just want to clarify, that is not a financial settlement. There is no money
there is no-
being paid
no,
in
there's no
exchange
money.
for this resignation.
Yeah, it's a term of art, I'm sorry. It's not a good term to describe what's going on. It's really accepting his resignation. And that's what, from a business standpoint, I certainly understand.
So just to make it clear, I have been wrestling with this since all this came out. It has been a blow to the district, to many people involved, to our students. So to vote to have him resign is the best decision for the district, correct? A business, we're looking at a business standpoint,
Absolutely.
not as what we feel should really be done.
Exactly. You know, unfortunately, this is an emotional item. As your lawyer, I can certainly recommend to you, accept the resignation. You've cut all ties. You've limited his opportunity to make anything out of this that he could make out of it. And I'm not saying he can't. I will suggest to you, your case is strong. It's the right thing to do from a business standpoint. And I don't think I can make it any more simple than that. Nobody's happy with this. And I'm certain that he's not happy. But that's an aside. The fact remains is he shouldn't be happy. And you're taking the steps that a responsible school district would take when faced with this situation.
Well, the public often thinks that termination is more hard-lined, but the ultimate goal is that the person doesn't return to work here.
That's right.
And the best way to actually make sure the person doesn't return is to allow the person to resign.
Accept his resignation.
And
I also feel that the public and our children and everyone else that Pennsylvania Department of Education and educator misconduct is something that, has been filed, will be continued to be filed once more information becomes public after the hearing upcoming in October. I feel pretty confident in the history of PDE and their investigative team that the license, the certification could be removed permanently. And again, we have to wait for that outcome. But again, just from historical cases that I've been around and have seen, and probably Mr. Dice as well, we feel comfortable that we would not necessarily have him teaching in another district as well.
And
I'm not one to pass the buck, and terminating is a statement that we can make. And it's been said a number of times that we're educators, not investigators, and it's sort of out of our hands. And in the best interest of Gateway and the students and citizens, people of Monroeville and Pitcairn, I think the best way to go is to get this individual out of our school district and let the process take care of itself.
I wished I would have said it. Scotty said it better than I.
He'll never walk the halls of our schools again.
That's correct.
And this will have no effect on the investigation for the Commonwealth. Our decision to rather terminate or resign, it does not soften the blow, sweet, okay? And you said he filed a grievance?
Yes. Well, the union, as a matter of course, does that.
Oh, just their procedural formality, okay, all right.
Protecting or, holding on to their position.
And just so everybody knows, we've all struggled with this. We've all gone on back and forth. We want to support anybody that was affected directly or indirectly with this, the family, the staff, the students. And this conversation has gone back and forth in all of our heads. And, individually, we don't want to soften the blow, and this doesn't do that. This just cuts our ties, ensures, like Robin said, he's never walking these halls again, and the other two entities will continue to pursue rather criminal or commonwealth and educator misconduct, and we can be done and hopefully move on from this.
And Mr. Dice and Mrs. Crump, could you answer the following question? If another school district wanted to find out some background information about this employee, what would our school district reveal?
I'll leave that to Mrs. You there, Trish?
I am. Act 126 requires us to notify any interested party that works with children. There's a form that we fill out that states what is effectively going on.
So they get notice.
Correct.
Thank you very kindly.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions about this? No? Well, I'd like to just say this. I appreciate the direction and guidance of Mr. Dice and Dr. Short and Ms. Crump. I, of course, will be ignoring all of it. Mr. Dice suggested that this is the responsible decision, and that's probably the right word. I agree with the sense of it. I agree with the practicality of it. I can't agree with doing it, strangely enough. So that's the beauty of this. I appreciate everyone on this board. It's been a calm, intelligent conversation, the way things should be done. So we're going to move on to the vote. Yes? We ready for that? Did we have a motion? Was it made and seconded? We're done with questions? Yes?
Are we voting on
Accepting the
items 1,
resignation?
2, or 3?
In the resignation.
Wait, she had a question.
There's 3 items on.
There's three. She had a question. I'm sorry.
Mary Beth had a
Had a question on number 2.
I just wanted Trish to explain to the public number 2. All it says is memorandum of understanding about cyber instruction. Is there a brief synopsis so the public understands what that is about?
Dr. Rossi, are you available to
Yep.
some input on item number 2?
We recently took over the Gateway Cyber Academy program. Prior to, if you remember, we worked with Waterfront Learning and used their instructors. We are now using our teachers, and it's the memorandum of understanding, the 1-year agreement. It just kind of lists some parameters for teachers and the district and outlines the supplemental stipend as well.
So essentially, we're utilizing our educators, our teachers, to supplement and to enhance and to teach our cyber academy. We've met with the union over the last couple months, even going back into the summer, to draft this memorandum of understanding to ensure that they are compensated fairly for their efforts, and likewise the district is receiving benefits from that as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And so we need to separate number 1 from number 3 as we vote, correct?
1 and
Do you
2.
want to simply go to item number 3 first
Yeah, let's do that.
as an action item?
Yes.
And we can vote on that. Mrs. Isha, you with us?
Yes, for the motion and the second to be the same for both 1, 2, and then separate for 3, or do we need a new motion for 3?
Do we need a new motion for 3?
No.
Right, so we're simply voting on number 3, accepting the resignation of employee 2525.
Thank you.
So roll call, please.
Mrs. Rucci.
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Longo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Dr. Singh.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
No.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Bova.
No. And the ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Isha.
We can go to item number 1 and 2 collectively now. Mrs. Isha, if we could have a roll call on those 2?
Okay, Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mrs. McBride.
Aye.
Mrs. Longo.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Dr. Singh.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Bova.
Aye.
Rucci.
Aye.
So, Mr. Bova, before we leave this, I just want to clarify what that vote meant just a second ago when 2 of the school board members voted no. They weren't voting in order to try to keep the employee. They were voting that the employee should be relieved via termination rather than resignation. All the school board members agree that the employee needs to go.
Good clarification.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Next.
Thank you very much. Presented for next week, for October the 20th, under resignations, we will be presenting 5 to you. Number E has withdrawn their resignation, so we will have 5 for next week. Under transfers, we have 11 listed. Under employment, we are recommending 9 event workers. Under supplementals, we have a lot of the fall supplementals that we're filling in on. We are also asking for the approval of an additional esports supplemental be added at $1,118 a year. And under section 5 for volunteers, at this time we have 5 independent volunteers and 1 volunteer coach.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry. That's okay. I was just reading. Yeah. Good reading. Conferences,
Go ahead.
You have a question?
Questions?
questions,
Oh, you're flipping.
questions?
No.
Comments?
Just a question. When we're looking at this personnel agenda, correct, these resignations took place in July, June, August, and we are in September. Is there a reason why we did not receive these earlier?
We don't have any meetings in July.
Well, we had August.
We did not get a lot of them until the very beginning of school year, which is after the August meeting.
So they quit after the school year, but in the summertime, but then they didn't really have to put their
Majority
resignation.
of these, yeah, the majority of these quit within the week before school started.
No.
Like, how does it go back to June 3rd? Why wouldn't that have been on the June?
Because we have to report the last day that they worked. That's a stipulation of fees when we do it.
You guys know that accepting a resignation is a formality. It's not like you can vote no and they still have to work here, right?
Yeah, you tried that with Paul Shaw. How'd that work?
No, I know, but from June,
It didn't work, yeah.
from June 3rd, I mean, does that mean that, like, we weren't able to release their position and try to get it filled until it comes on here?
It means that we were not notified until the last week of August that they were not returning. The public school employee retirement system requires that we list the last day that they were effectively worked and were paid as their end date.
So if they had vacation, it would add on to their end date.
Okay.
Okay, another question. Looking at, we had 4 paraprofessionals. Have these positions been filled? I know we still need people, but have these ones been filled?
We still do need people. We have 9 people that we've just brought on with Avino that have helped fill those, and we are still continuing to look.
All right, thank you. See what we're paying them?
How are we doing the personnel with our cafeteria workers? Are we still hiring cafeteria workers?
We're still looking to hire cafeteria workers. We filled some other positions as well, related to school nurses, so.
And all these positions are on the new wonderfully updated website, and they're also on the Facebook page. So if anybody's interested or wants to see, or if they qualify, please go to the website, go to the Facebook page, it'll bring you to the link.
The official Facebook page or the unofficial Facebook page?
The official, the new one.
The new one, the official one. Here's the link.
Sarcastic.
Dr. Short, it was brought up in comments from the audience. Could somebody explain the dean of students, what their job entails?
Mrs. Crump, do you have that information in front of you? I do not have the actual job description, but if you want to read some of those items.
Give her a minute to pull it up.
Sorry, I was on mute. In essence, the Dean of Students is to assist the principals in providing school-wide leadership and student management. They are going to be supervising, monitoring student management, disciplinary matters, lunchroom, after-school detention. They're going to assist the principals in matters of discipline, working with busing, discipline referrals from teachers, assigning consequences. There's about 7 other things that all fall within the guideline, but that's the parameter of it.
What are the qualifications to be a dean of student?
They have to have a Pennsylvania certificate, strong leadership, personal drive, passion for children and their families, ability to implement programs to improve education achievement, the ability to build partnerships with community organizations, and a commitment to technology advancement.
Thank you.
So this individual that we are going to approve next week has already started his position?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Section F, Administrative Report, Elementary Education. Dr. Rossi?
Item number 1 is approve the AIU transition memorandum of understanding, pre-K to K transition document.
Item number 2, approve the student teachers affiliation agreement with Slippery Rock University. Item 3, approve the agreement with Receiving True Self for all-day training and consultation. Item 4, recognize the following district booster clubs and sports organizations as listed. Item number 5, approve Ray Andrikanic as Gateway School Police Assistant Supervisor at an hourly rate of $28. Approve an increase in the Gateway School Police Supervisor's hourly rate from $32 to $34. And approve an increase in the Gateway School Police Assistant Supervisor's hourly rate from $28 to $30. Item number 6, Indiana University of Pennsylvania and Gateway School District will design a teaching academy to address the national teacher shortage and diversify the teacher workforce.
Item number 7, approve Aviana Healthcare Service Provider Agreement as depicted in Exhibit H.
Item 8, memorandum of understanding sharing free or reduced price meals or free milk eligibility information with Forbes Road Career and Technology Center as depicted in Exhibit C. Item 9, change orders. Gateway Middle School renovation project construction fund for the 22-23 fiscal year. Approve the change orders for Vicarious Construction Company Incorporated in a total net amount of $13,508.29 as depicted below. Items 1 through 3 relate to Vicarious. Item 4, Del Rey windows. We get a credit for not installing the doors from the cafeteria of $1,050. Item 6, new gas line supplies. We get a credit from Shipley Plumbing of $6,006.01. Total net change orders of all 5 is $6,452.28. Note, including the total of the 5 change orders detailed above, the grand total of all net change orders school board approved for the Gateway Middle School renovation project is $2,123,909.51. Item 10, school bus drivers and bus monitors for the 22-23 fiscal year. Approve the Student Transportation America list of school bus drivers and monitors for the 22-23 fiscal year as depicted in Exhibition D, or Exhibit D, I'm sorry. Item 11, an engagement letter required for arbitrage compliance services with arbitrage compliance specialists for the series of 2021 general obligation bonds. Approve the continued utilization of arbitrage compliance specialists incorporated to perform the required arbitrage calculations and the issuance of applicable reports for the district's series of 2021 general obligation bonds in the amount of $750 for the interim reporting period June 22nd, 2022 through June 22nd, 2023 as depicted in Exhibit E. Item 12, bid for the paving project at University Park and Ramsey Elementary School. Funds coming from the fund balance, general fund for the 22-23 fiscal year. Award the bid for the paving project at University Park and Ramsey Elementary Schools to JM Paving Incorporated, proposal number 16615. Bill, apply a sealant and pave over the entire parking lot at University Park Elementary, $99,800. Co-stars number 029035. Second item, proposal 16616. Bill, apply a sealant and pave over the entire parking lot at Ramsey Elementary at a cost of $52,400. Co-stars number 029-035. Total cost of the paving project is $152,200. Item 13, installation of baseball and softball scoreboards at Gateway High School baseball and softball fields by OES Scoreboards. Price per purchasing co-op Ncpa contract 08-17. Scoreboards and electric signage. Funds coming from the fund balance general fund for the 22-23 fiscal year. Exhibit G. Option A, $88,400. Baseball scoreboard to be installed in the outfield wall. Softball scoreboard to be installed behind the outfield wall. Includes top arts panel with custom artwork. Option B, $94,794. Baseball and softball to be installed behind the outfield walls. Bottom of the scoreboard to be 10 feet from the ground. Top arts ad panel. Option C, $118,145. Baseball and softball to be installed behind the outfield walls. Top 25 feet by 18 feet standard ad panel. Top truss is 25 by 3 feet. 30-inch aluminum letters that will say Gators and caps. Two 30-inch aluminum logo plates. The bottom of the scoreboard will be 10 feet from the ground.
Thank you, sir.
Does anybody have pictures of these scoreboards?
These options were given to us at the athletic meeting, right?
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, they were on the athletic. That was recorded and live.
Exhibits have the actual pictures, but I could forward those out via email to all the board members to see.
I think Ms. Cerrucci is asking if the public could see them.
The public reads this out.
Yeah,
What are we buying here? I mean, how much is this scoreboard that we have right now at the baseball field? No, not the, not the football field. The football field has advertising on it. Do any of these scoreboards have advertising on them?
These will have, they say logo plates, I assume that's
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think. Micah, do you have those readily available by any chance?
I can pull them from board docs if you give me a minute.
Okay.
Yep, Micah should be able to put those up on the screen.
While he's doing that, can I ask a question? As far as this paving, we have the paving from JM Paving, and then we have the bid from Tresco Paving. Well, Tresco looks like they brought all the parking lots together. Are we going to be looking at?
We are. Tresco just happened to put them all on one page.
Okay.
At this point, we were looking at the milling and paving.
Okay.
Those other items are seal coat and striping. So, but we are requiring mill and pave on every bit of asphalt. So you would have both numbers, whether you want to mill it and pave it, whether you want to seal it, so you'll have options. But to get it for today, we just getting those to you so we can get the rest.
Okay, if we approve this next week, when does the time frame look like as far as these?
I would have to talk to that vendor.
Okay.
Changes.
All right.
But our biggest problem here is timing.
Right.
Of when we're able to do it. And they do work weekends and nights, and they're pretty accommodating as far as that goes. that I haven't done that, and we haven't approved anything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
When we're done here, are you gonna give an update on the sports complex?
If you like.
I would.
Maiko, I did forward you an email that came in from Mr. Hall and OES.
Okay.
That came in yesterday, so I don't know. You may want to check your email, Maiko, to give a better depiction because these scoreboards actually include graphics and logos, so it would be a better opportunity for our viewing public and board to see.
Dr. Short, I have a question about the MOU with Forbes.
Yes.
I was.
A number of phone calls on this. Could you just explain why this happened?
I do not have all the information currently right now, but I could gather some and get it out to everyone.
A follow-up on Mr. Williams's question. From what I saw, the MOU, it started at the beginning of the school year. So the families that have paid out of pocket, will they be reimbursed?
That's what I'm waiting to find out. And just for the viewing public to understand, this is an MOU agreement with Forbes Vocational School to allow for the free lunches. Again, those came in late from the U.S. government, so we're trying to access and complete the MOU. They have new leadership over at Forbes, and they're trying to connect and make sure that the paperwork's in line. But I will be able to answer that question.
For right now, since we have not approved this tonight, the families that have students that are going over there should still continue to pay for their child to eat?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Can we make this an action item so that doesn't happen?
Could we make that an action item?
Whatever you want to do.
I'm sure there's rules and laws I have to follow. I don't necessarily know what they all is.
No, I would like to make that an action item, number 8, the MOU, sharing free or reduced price meals or free milk eligibility with FRCTC.
So that's a motion.
That's a motion.
Second.
Okay,
Is there a second?
We'll go back. Maiko, let's go. Here's your scoreboards, Mary.
Wait, hold on. We have a motion, right?
Let's complete the motion.
Valerie has a motion.
Yeah.
You said we were jumping around.
Yeah. It's okay.
Well, we were waiting for the pictures.
So we have a motion to approve the MOU by Ms. Warning, seconded by,
An action item,
to make it an action item, by Ms. Warning, seconded by Mr. Williams. Are there any more questions on that? How about all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Wonderful, there you go, thank you.
Okay, now it needs to be voted.
Yes, that's to make it.
Make a
Made
motion.
it an action item.
Now we need a motion to
act.
Make a motion to,
Is there any input from the public first?
Well, let's get the motion in a second, and then you can ask for public comment.
So motion to vote on what we just made an action item.
Right.
second.
Motion was made by Ms. McBride, seconded by Ms. Warning. Are there any questions?
Public comment. Is there any public comment?
Anybody
Yes.
opposed to giving free lunches?
No. Everybody understands what we're doing on that.
Trying to streamline the free lunches over at Forbes
There
Road.
doesn't appear to be any public comment, so you're freedom to vote.
Okay, let's have a roll call, Ms. Isha.
Yes. Mrs. McBride,
Aye.
Ms. Mungo,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Dr. Singh,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
aye.
Mr. Bova,
Aye.
Mrs. Rucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Thank you.
All righty, so we have a scoreboard up on the screen. Does that help anybody?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Is that option A?
We got a couple more options up top here.
No.
See that again.
Is that option?
Now we know which is option A, B, and C.
That's A, because they get progressively bigger when more money, right? That's A. That's B. That's C, 118,000.
So what we're doing for baseball, we are going to copy with softball.
A lot of money.
Any more comments on the scoreboards?
I don't see any ad
So on,
space there.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. So on, where's the ad space for option B?
The big one.
That'd just be a panel, I think, that would attach below.
Bottom.
Yes. Mr. Hall, are you on the call?
They're saying.
I am.
They're saying.
Where's the ad panels go?
Ad panels?
Ad panels can be added either to the either end or underneath. Remember, the first option is embedded into the wonder wall, the outfield wall. That's why it doesn't have the ability to have anything above it or below it. So it would be,
at the top.
that may be difficult to do ads.
That's what it's saying.
The second one, we would be able to do, the one we're looking at right now is on either side of the scoreboard, because again, the bottom of it would be parallel essentially with the top of the outfield wall. So the ads would be on either side, not on the bottom. The third one, it would be the same story with the trust. And again, as Mrs. Warning mentioned, the only facility, and we talked about this in the athletic committee, the only facility in athletics at the high school level, really at any level, where there are different facilities for males and females is baseball and softball. The same players use the same gym, same track, same pool, and so on, same soccer field, football field. But in baseball and softball, you typically have two different facilities because of the difference in dimensions and the way the fields are laid out. So we want to comply completely with Title IX and do everything we do for our female athletes that we do for our male athletes, which is Mrs. Warning's point that we are going to use the same scoreboard for both facilities to make that so.
What are we getting for $25,000 between option B and C?
I think we're getting a very significant upgrade in terms of the lettering. If you think of what the football stadium scoreboard looks like.
There we go.
Yeah, those are 38-inch letters. They're not backlit, but you also have the G logos up there, the truss. It's just a grander look, and I get it. It's not. I'm not writing the check, but at the same time, I think it's on par with what we did in the stadium, and I think that's kind of everybody's sort of view on this was we're going to do this. Let's do it right, and do it as well as we can do it in honor of the past and future of our baseball and softball programs and the people that have been in it. That's why we priced out several options and obviously why we love the option C.
And I do believe we touched on this a little bit in the athletics meeting, warranty or what the lifetime of this, the possibility of the lifetime of the scoreboard.
Okay, let's talk about that too.
Yeah, it is in the verbiage. It's significant. It's a
don't need to
minimum of
go
5
over the
years in
top.
all parts, and then they will service the life of the scoreboard.
Okay, and then what, after the 5-year warranty, what are, I have no idea, what are the expectations for how long a scoreboard lasts?
I think we would expect to exceed 5 years for sure, but again, any default or faulty parts, we would probably identify them pretty quickly and replace them at no cost at 5 years. After the 5 years is up, then you're talking about normal wear and tear. It is an outdoor apparatus. You might see, something that needs to be replaced, and again, you might have to pay for certain parts. And we're talking about LED lighting. We're talking about pretty state-of-the-art stuff. So I don't think the expectation or the norm is for things to go bad in a short amount of time.
Our previous scoreboards have lasted anywhere between 15 and 20 years.
And the ads, we can switch out whenever somebody would like to purchase them. They're not there for the 10 or 15 years. We can resell them every year or 6 months or whatever.
We typically would contract, like for instance, a 5-year deal where someone would pay a certain amount of money over 5 years, and they would have rights to have their ad up there for those 5 years. And when that 5 years ended, we would then either resell or re-up with that same company.
Okay, so the option is there to change it though at some point if need be for the ads.
Yes, or to add more panels.
Okay.
We have.
And Mr. Hall, we are using the present scoreboards at the baseball, softball fields over at Gateway Middle when those fields are completed?
Yes, and again, it's not anywhere near, change, but we can subtract the cost of getting new scoreboards at the middle school for baseball and softball because we'll take the ones from the current high school complex and move them over there. So that is a minus on the ledger against the total price tag of the new scoreboards at the baseball and softball complex.
Thank you.
That was very helpful.
Questions about 3 and 6. I have questions about number 3. I think there was a question that was asked earlier. Who was surveyed for the Oveus?
Dr. Rossi,
Yeah,
question about Oveus survey?
This item number 3 is not the survey. This is an agreement for training and consultation services. It's a train-the-trainer model.
Okay. And then number 6, the IUP and the Gateway School District, where it says we'll design a teaching academy. What does that mean? I see there's a kind of some general information. Who's selected? Is there any incentive for those who will go to IUP to come back to Gateway to be teachers?
There is that option or opportunity. The board recalls we have had discussions previously with IUP concerning the McElhatton project grant. IUP has reinvented this, so to speak, and they're looking at a teacher academy to help increase the amount of educators, potential educators, to go into the field. And they're looking at multiple school districts to partner with. We currently have a course, I believe Mr. Spinola, Dr. Chakey is teaching teacher academy.
Yeah, we're one step ahead of IUP on this, which is kind of good. Through the equity committee, we decided to start our own kind of teacher academy to address some of these deficiencies of the teacher workforce. Hopefully this could be like a grassroots thing where some of our kids are interested in education. They go through the program here, and it only makes it better that now we have this sponsorship with IUP as well. But Mr. Spinola teaches the, he's going to teach second semester. He's starting the Teaching Academy seminar for students at the high school. And this program is going to be built out in years to come.
Is there any way to give any of these students that participate in this some type of scholarships to assist them, to encourage them to continue with the process of becoming teachers, like going to IUP and then coming back to us?
And I think that's where it will evolve. What we're finding out is once potential educators go into that field, the support system needs to be in place to make sure that they're channeled properly. Also transportation, whatever means of allowing them to get to certain schools, but Gateway would be at the top of the list, and we'd be partnering with IUP to do this.
We don't want to, you know.
Yeah, we don't want to.
We want to
absolutely, yeah, and that's the goal. Yes.
Sense. I mean, we always want to invest in everyone, obviously.
But it would be to our advantage to encourage them to come back to the school district and continue and have a successful career.
And part of that would allow for our counselors, our systems at the high school to channel those kids to IUP to see the teacher profession courses that are available, get them involved in education majors and bring them back.
Has there been any conversation about, you know, we hear about the Pittsburgh Promise. Has there been any conversation with organizations, businesses that might want to assist with investing, providing scholarship money for these individuals to kind of keep them in-house? Like they're diamonds. Let's hold on to these diamonds.
And that's where IUP is right now. And potentially we could see it expanding to help fund this program even more.
Do we already have, oh, I'm sorry, do we already have an agreement for student teachers from IUP?
Yes, we have agreements from IUP, all the major universities.
Oh, okay, cool.
So with Robin, were you asking, is there some kind of incentive? Is there with this program, what's the incentive or to have these students come back and?
Well, ultimately, once the individual student teacher completes, if you want to call it their residency here,
Right.
We can then keep that individual on for another year while they earn additional credits, but
Okay.
also utilize their skills in whatever we may need. We know that there's a need for substitute teachers, instructional support personnel. So this allows that individual to have employment here while receiving additional credits for another degree.
And would they be in the union and be able to get reimbursed for those additional credits as well?
Pardon me?
Would they be part of the union if we hire them?
If they're hired full-time, but if they're a day-to-day sub,
But
no.
the picture, I understand this,
Yes.
we're talking about kids here who are in school that we're trying to encourage to become teachers.
The entire
and to
piece of
bring-
it, yes, yes.
Okay, so we're planting the seed that we need to.
The ecosystem to allow for full growth from
Right.
high school to college, student teach, employee.
Right.
Yes.
How many, is there a number of students, is IUP telling us that you can only have 10 kids?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
All we're doing is seeking approval to move forward. We'll have more information on the program. It's exciting.
Mr. Brown, question on number 12. Is there a reason we shouldn't just wait till next summer to do this paving project now that school started?
Ooh, let me answer that one.
Especially since we're taking out of fund balance?
Next year, whatever this price is, based on the way everything else is going,
Yeah.
it will go up, not just a little bit, it will go up significantly.
Let's just pave all the lots then.
Well, that's, if you remember our last get-together, we talked about the fact that we have not had a current paving program for a variety of reasons, so that, this is actually the beginning of getting those numbers to find out what it costs to pave every one of these parking lots. Every one of these parking lots and all of our roads, and then, see what we think is best at this time, but you got your crystal ball, what's it gonna cost next summer? I mean, we could look at what it cost last year, we could actually
And they say lumber's coming down, so any wood projects we should probably put off till next year. We'll go ahead and do the paving,
Make a note of
but
that,
put off
Bob.
decking and lumber.
Wood projects,
What's
no,
coming down? Wood?
hold off on wood. Anything else? Any
I'm
other?
satisfied, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything else?
I don't have any more questions on this, but I'm gonna piggyback on what Robin said, the survey. Do we have that information?
The Olveus bullying survey that Ms. Beagle asked about.
Yeah.
Have our kids been surveyed, given the bullying survey yet, Dr. Rossi?
Last spring, grades 3 through 11 were surveyed.
Last spring?
Yeah, what was on the agenda was an agreement for training, and I think it was misunderstood.
Okay, I just want to make sure Ms. Beagle gets her answer. Were you thinking that this was the survey?
You were looking for the results.
This training might have been steered from the
Because
results
of the
this
survey.
Is there any connection to the training, Dr. Rossi, and the bullying survey from last spring? Are they just unrelated?
It's part of the plan. It's part of the safety plan, the bullying plan. Social emotional learning, it's all part of the PBIS, it's all part of working together. We just want to make sure our core team is trained, and then they can train our staff and make sure everyone's on the same page.
So it's staff training.
You're looking for the actual results?
I kind of want to know what the survey results are.
Okay.
I mean, our kids have been through a lot these past couple of years, and if I'm looking at survey results and seeing a trend where there's a lot of kids my children's age that are
being bullied,
having thoughts that maybe I need to sit down and have a different discussion with my kids at home.
I can make a note at next week's meeting to review the survey results publicly,
That would be great.
okay?
Anything else? No? You ready? Moving on to, what do we got? I lost track. Oh, here we go. Administrative resolutions. No. Resolutions presented by board members. Any of those? No. Comments from residents on non-agenda items. Do we have any of those? Yes, ma'am.
Kelly Matrazo, Monroeville. Three points that I wanted to make. So the logistics drop off from Mosside is an absolute nightmare in the mornings. Evidently, somebody came up with a new time at 7:55, that no child is to be in the building before 7:55. It has created an absolute drop-off logistical nightmare. I've sat all the way back at the library in line waiting to drop my kid off. And as you come down from the library, the stop sign right here, we have cars making, because you have to make a right and then loop around to drop your kid off and then loop out. Well, the buses go around this way. So you're at the light, the buses are coming this way, and you're trying to get around the buses to drop your kids off, and the buses are either going, back around or coming this way in the front of the building. It's a disaster. First 2 days of school, I can leave my house and get here and back within maybe 20 minutes, 45 minutes. I was beside myself because, meetings and things that I have to get back to. So I just wanted to make you all aware of, I would highly suggest that maybe somebody stand out there and just watch, just observe.
Well, if I may interrupt, so what has changed since last year?
That's what I want to know. It's completely different from last year.
Have you reached out to Mr. Jack, the principal?
I have not, but I'm happy to do so.
I can follow up as well.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit even dangerous as you're coming and you're at that stop sign right there and you're trying to make the right and the buses are literally flying around the bend after they drop, because the kids get dropped off on the opposite side. And so they're coming around, these buses are coming around and going, I guess, to their next route or whatever.
And I will be visible tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah,
I'll be there too.
I would, and there's actually kids that are lined up waiting, and they keep the kids on the bus till 7:55, not 7:50, 7:55, and they're waiting on the buses or at the door over here, and there's kids lined all the way up to the sidewalk, and
That's not good.
I'm not sure. So either there's more kids getting dropped off in the mornings this year as opposed to last year, or the change in time.
I'll find out as well, okay?
Second point I wanted to make, I know we had a discussion at one small point in time a while ago about maybe purchasing vape detectors for bathrooms. Are we in any discussions with anybody anywhere about that?
I've had that conversation, Miko. I know that we have researched a couple of vendors. You on, Micah?
Yeah. Yeah, we have an installation planned in a pilot bathroom at the high school.
So we are piloting one of the detectors to see how it works, how often it works, and then we would be prepared to then purchase multiple.
Okay.
So yes, we are moving forward with it.
Okay, all right. And then the third point I just wanted to make is just a personal observation. You all know I'm here religiously, as much as I can. And every school board meeting we do stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've just noticed in the last couple of months that Dr. Singh never recites the pledge. He stands, but he doesn't recite. And it was just a personal observation, and I thought that was interesting. So, just curious. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all.
Any other comments from residents?
State your name, address. I'm just joking.
Jeanette B, going back. Two things. One I wasn't planned on. The incident at UP today. Why were we parents not notified? Like, I should not have had my child come home and tell me something happened like that. This is, with UP and then seeing the dean of students happening and somebody already in this position, and I as a parent having children at these buildings, not knowing it's happening, those are big deals, especially what's happened at Ramsey and think nothing, I grasp nothing catastrophic happened today, but the possibility of something catastrophic happening could have happened. This is a not normal activity. Police had to be called. I, as a parent, would just like to know and be better prepared to answer my child when they have questions. And these are things we as parents want to know about, a little transparency on that. And the dean of students, like seeing that now, do we have another?
On the dean of students, we talked about that last year.
I just.
Extensively, yeah.
Even a dean of students, and we never hired it because we couldn't fill all the positions. So that one, I agree with you on the UP, but just to clarify, the dean of students has been talked about since last school year. So I'm sorry you didn't know
Okay,
about
but if somebody's been acting in that position in the building, I think parents should know that, hey, there's somebody and this is what they are overseeing. So if you're having this issue, instead of emailing Mr. Jack with 8,000 things that, like, it would just be a little,
And
that's all I'm asking is just.
Principals are still the direct line of communication, without a doubt. There are 3 principals over there. The dean of students would not necessarily be in that communicative role with parents.
more of a support.
Yes.
To help with all the discipline. This was a response to last year. Do you remember last year?
Yeah, I remember picking my kids up every day with there's a fight, there was not, I mean, like, I'm
There was
not
a letter sent
disagreeing.
out, kind of outlining things we were going to try to do at Mossad to address the disciplinary issues, and that dean of students was on that letter. It's just
Yeah,
kind
when
of
I
taken
asked about that,
this
I
long
wasn't, I
for
mean,
it
like,
to
I
actually
asked about it and it wasn't, it was something being looked at and I had missed it somewhere, so I apologize for that, but it just would be nice to know. And then if.
At the meetings about.
So you just kind of wanted to, hey, welcome to Mosside Middle. We did add this administrative piece. They are in there.
Could be added to
Science,
the,
so he's going from science, is he still teaching science or is there somebody else taking that over?
Teacher in play there right now.
Okay. And then to piggyback off of the drop off at Mossad, I would keep a watch out there because you will also have the parents, and I notice it because I come in past the high school up here and I'm often sitting by the parking lot or by the library if I leave 2 minutes later than I should have. Drop up. Kids will literally, parents are like, they're getting out of their cars and hopping off and running across in front of your building right here, in front of the offices there. It's an accident asking to happen. It's not going to be pretty. You have a car that's up too far at the stop sign and a bus cutting that left to get up there. Somebody, it just.
Thank you for that, and I will be out there tomorrow morning and with Mr. Jack.
Yeah, and that did change. They did change that. They did, because it was like 7:50 that they had opened the doors last year to let kids in, and I was like, oh, 7:55, okay. And
okay, thank you very much.
Can I just piggyback off of her? When we had the incident at Ramsey, that was one of the complaints parents had said that, they weren't being notified. And I know PTO groups have met and asked more for communication from, whether it's administration, from the schools itself. Can we put that in, that if something happens, I mean, like this, that happened at UP, and yes, I always follow up with that. But to let the parents know, so we're not seeing it on Facebook, we're not seeing it, that they're getting the actual story with what has happened. Can we implement that here?
I mean, of course, and we all, I think, we almost always do. The problem is somehow we want to be in a race with Facebook. Facebook tends to be a whole bunch of people reporting things, rumors, what they saw, what they heard, while teachers and principals and administrators are actually trying to find out what happened. So not only are you racing with Facebook, which is instantaneous, but typically you're racing with bad information.
Right.
So I certainly hope this leadership gets word out to families immediately, and there is some editing built in. Someone drove around to school and threw cases of empty beer out while being yelled at by folks. So I guess on every day, you're trying to decide what gets reported, when, how, through what.
It's difficult.
Through what.
And I perfectly understand what you're saying. You know, it puts the administration in a difficult position, because if we fail to alert on something that maybe a parent or two find out, you know, we're often criticized for that. And you know, we're making judgment calls about, okay, is it a situation that has endangered an individual? You know, the principal, central administration, of course, we're going to notify the families and let them know. But I mean, we don't want to cross that line and say, okay, with every incident, we're going to ping the phones and say, here's what's going on, here's what's going on. I get it. We understand communication. Everyone in every industry needs to communicate better. I'll be flat out honest with you. In this day and age, you're crucified. I'm being honest with you. I mean, but you know, we need to do a better job. Everyone needs to do a better job. And Roseville Community Cares needs to do a better job. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I'm guessing that
Add any additional positions, but maybe a communication officer. I mean, I think we've had mentioned that once before. I know the district had one at one time, but if you have someone that knows what the guidelines, what they can say, what they can't say, it allows everyone else to deal with their job and their function. And then this person that has to communicate with the public and everyone else.
Respectfully, I get what you're saying. They must be in the educational field, because that person is going to come to me and say, what do I say? How do I say it? You know,
Like, how would you have reported this? Like, we had some goofball drive up on the lot, yell at the teachers.
throw his beer cans out and drive away.
You know.
dumpster, yeah.
You have parents who.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, how would you even word this one, like, or something like an incident? Yeah, maybe, yeah.
There's not a.
Yeah, but then people jump to conclusions, and then they think, oh, well, there was somebody who was trying to do harm, and there wasn't any.
Leads us right back to where we're at.
Right, it does, because we didn't give enough information.
It was garbage, I mean.
Well, and the police were called, so then we still have that criminal component. Don't we? Do we incriminate somebody before?
So I'd like to thank all of you.
There's an investigation ongoing.
Police were called into their kid comes home and says, guess what? The police were at our school, and then they're upset because.
Yeah, and the police did not report or respond to.
Bill, would it be safe to say that we should set the expectation that you're not going to get notified of every single incident unless the administration thinks that there was some type of a threat to the students or the families?
I mean, I understand that may not be what the families want to hear.
We're trying to be realistic, though.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I was trying to say. I'm trying to be realistic, and yeah, there's no intent to hide anything. I mean,
there's
receives text messages daily from me, like an FYI type.
I have never gotten a text message. I think this is called plausible deniability. But this goes,
but again,
this goes back to exactly what I was saying. Even amongst us, the thing with a guy driving into the parking lot and throwing whatever he threw out, how emergent is this?
But as you said, how do you race against social media too? That's a problem.
And we kind of got all the information, like this happened, he was confronted, Minerva police were notified, we're pulling up the video.
Yeah, and that was pretty much late in the day.
So the obvious question right now is, should every parent have known what we knew at that moment?
Can I say something?
No, ma'am. Just kidding. Yeah.
No, Cheryl. You're overthinking this. You've done this before. You hired a teacher who actually was on the Gateway School Board at one point, and she was your person who communicated with the public. She got it. She was an English major. She taught English.
What are you talking about?
Bessie Perlman.
pre-social media.
Pre-social media. But it doesn't matter. She was a teacher, she was an English, great writer, she had the ability, she was a parent, she had kids in the district, she got it. You're overthinking it. You just need someone to do the communications. You're never going to compete with Facebook or that stuff. Give it up. We all know it. You don't need to. I was just making a point about security. That was my point. I found that out tonight that happened. That was just the point. You need fencing now.
But then you have them trapped inside.
Yeah, no. If you look at all the, listen, I was, for 30 years, I was married to a man in security.
Okay.
And fencing, you have to look at that. And he has the state police, who I'm sure can give you great guidance.
Don't you?
Great guidance. I know that.
But a criminal can lock that fence and keep all of those people inside of that cage.
All right, let me interrupt one moment.
Can I say then you need a community group of people who've worked in this field, whether it's a police officer or someone like my husband who spent 30 years designing security systems.
Things have changed.
Oh, he just retired. Just like
I'm
you.
just saying.
Okay, so, I'm just saying, but you need to have this discussion. Let's not get into that. We can nitpick all night. You need someone like Betsy Perlman was. That's not new. You can do it part-time. She did it part-time, and she could correct and communicate.
So you're in
because you
favor
can't
of a
be six
communications
places.
director?
Just one last thing. Jack.
Yes, ma'am.
Valerie, just to let you know, what will happen is every so often, the Department of Education will print in the newspapers, not necessarily in Pittsburgh, you'll see it sometimes in Harrisburg, all of the teachers who have lost their certifications.
Yes,
I pulled
understood.
it up on opening day for our staff.
It'll be, last time I looked, 50 teachers in the state. Their name, their age, their, what they taught, the school district they taught in.
What they did.
And what they were accused of doing. It's going to be out there, people. You can't hide it.
Yeah,
You can't
I
hide it.
appreciate that. I don't know why you directed that at us.
No,
but I
because you
appreciate
were worried
Directed at
about, I understood you
It's
were
her
worried about
non-agenda
because.
comment. She's
Yeah.
just commenting on previous discussion.
Yes, but,
Can I
no,
speak to her?
no, I know. I was just saying to let you know.
Yes.
It will get out there that somebody did something.
Right, that wasn't the reason for my vote, but I appreciate that.
You understand, I wasn't criticizing
No,
you.
no,
I
that's
was
fine, you
just
can too. It doesn't bother me. I'm
reinforcing.
just saying, we were aware of that.
Oh, trust me, Jack.
For me, it didn't have anything to do with it getting out there, not as much as.
No, I just want you to know at some point when they resolve this.
Sure, I'm gonna get in the last word, I swear to God.
I'll sit down, but I just wanted you to know, I wasn't criticizing you, I understood your thought. I wanted you to know at some point,
Criticizing you either.
this is all going to come to a head, and it'll be public. 50 teachers, imagine, 50 teachers in one newspaper article, lost their certification.
Saw them on opening day, Dr.
Passionate
Short.
about your internal struggles.
Pulled it up, went right down the list.
On the screen.
And our teachers,
Oh, gosh.
surprised and shocked.
And
Still
how
got the last-
recent.
She got the last word.
Yeah,
Within weeks of, yeah.
unfortunate. Unfortunate.
Do we have anyone else with comments on non-agenda items? I think we've caught everyone except Rabbi. No. All right, we're going to move on to the superintendent's report.
Nothing at this time.
How about board committee reports? Let's go. Does anybody have a report? Anyone have a board committee report? Yeah. John does. Mr. Ritter, let's start with you.
Sure, I attended the Forbes Road Career Technical Center recent open house on Tuesday. There was good attendance, lots of kids, lots of parents. There was a taco truck out front. It was just a nice event, so thank you to Forbes Road. Some of the school board members went. I didn't get to see you there. We didn't get to chat, but it was a very nice event.
You have a taco?
I didn't have a taco. Number 2, we had a Ramsey Elementary School outdoor play date on the 9th, Friday the 9th. About 75 to 100 kids were there. It was hard to count because they kept moving around. So I brought my granddaughter. I got pictures. She had such fun. These kids had such, there were parents, there were grandparents everywhere, and these kids just climbed on all the equipment. It was, whoever thought of that idea of having the kids get together for a Friday, late summer play date, that was brilliant.
That was my idea.
We got to talk with the other parents and grandparents, and the kids got to play their little hearts out. Did they have hot dogs or something like that? They had some food, whatever, yeah.
Ice truck, snow cone truck, oh my God.
Elementary schools should be doing something like that. So PTO folks, do it. Number 3, We had a recent intergovernmental committee meeting. We had 2 topics, the SRO and the new fencing at Ramsey Elementary School. Number 4, here's a question I have. Would anybody in the public be interested in helping to create a method of gathering, curating, and organizing media vis-a-vis Monroeville and Pitcairn's history and rendering it for scheduled or on-demand presentations on local media such as the cable access stations, Gateway School District websites, the municipal website, the Monroeville Historical Society website, the Monroeville Library website, the Chamber of Commerce's website. In other words, noteworthy things happen from time to time. They have been captured, but they're scattered out there, like the first opening of the Gateway School District building from 1950. If there's a picture out there or something like that, we could render it, we could put it out there so that we could trace, for example, a tour of the school that someone gives, so that people from other districts who are moving here, they might want to say, well, what does it look like if I would walk through? They could click on this thing, go to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce links to this library item, and they could say, show me what it looks like if I walk through the building. That's nice. Other historical things that could be out there, such as one of the students here at Gateway designed the logo that goes on the side of the municipal authority, the water trucks.
MS4.
So some student did something noteworthy. Who was that student? What was the design? So perhaps somebody could just put it together, a 2 or 3 minute video, and put it out there for play on demand. So there's a lot of things that we could do to show off who we are as a district and where we are, where we're headed. We're going to open up the renovated Gateway Middle School. We're going to put something in the ground with like a time capsule. That should be recorded. The mayor and other people should shake hands, and we should put shovels in the ground. We should make a deal of it for people 20, 50 years from now to look back and say, this is what the situation was like back then. This is, the origin of this upgrade. So we don't have a place to do all that kind of stuff right now. So what we're looking for is someone in the public who would like to sit down and brainstorm some approach to this. I think maybe a librarian would be a good person that could understand what media types exist, where to find these documents, and how to create a good description of what needs to be done.
Almost sounds like a class project.
We need people to move in like a class project. Maybe the Forbes Road Career Technical Center media creation teams over there could create a skeleton for it, and then every year or two, the new kids here at Gateway would move in, curate some more stuff, snip it, videotape it, memorialize it, upgrade it, retire, archive some things. So it would be an ongoing project with respect to media. So this would be a good way for us to take control of some of the other media that's out there that we don't have oversight or insight into right now. So I'm looking for people to do this. So my name is John Ritter. It's jritter@gatewayk12.org. Send me an email if you can either do it or know somebody can do it, or if you've got some foundation money that you could put into this to get it started, or if you're one of the leaders in some of these other organizations, or maybe you have some videos of the 1972 football game that none of us have seen, where we won the AAA championship. If you could get 5 minutes of video from there, that would be interesting. So there's 1,000 things like that, but we need a way to collect that, curate it, and do it. So that's my idea. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Scotty Williams.
I have a couple questions. Mr. Brown, I don't know if anybody brought this to your attention. We were up the high school, coming out of the high school underneath the bridge, going over to the sports complex. Remember where I'm at? There was a curb cut coming out of the school, but not a curb cut on the other side.
That was part of the renovation in '98. We're actually having that done next Friday night in the Saturday.
And then, how many maintenance guys are you short now?
I will be short one on Monday. And then in February, it'll be 2 general workers. So we actually already posted that job, and we're advertising to the general public as well.
Is there any specifics they need, or just a general worker?
Job description with some skill sets that are required. So it hasn't been out there long enough to get any resumes in just yet. We've had nobody from the inside express interest yet as well. That is still up through this week, so just
And Mr. Short, are we doing a quarterly mailing? Is that still?
Yes, it will be electronic, and we're trying to gather some emails from existing or a pre-staff that also received it as well.
And Val, did you get a room yet for your food?
I have not.
Can we see that Val gets,
What does that mean, a room for her food?
I don't know what title we call you?
Backpack program.
Backpack program.
Volunteer
Provided
collections.
3 different spaces. I'm not sure they're large enough from what I've last heard.
Well, what we need is, I'm just going to make a brief whatever. We do it at the high school. We did have it in the old tech ed room because it had an entrance that they could put pallets, bring pallets in for what we needed. And then once the bags were packed, that the National Honor Society students packed because it's one of their duties, service duties, they are able to pick up the bins and deliver to the schools. In the past years, we've done K through 4. This year, I met with our social workers, and they want to go K through 12. So we're going to take on a lot, and a lot more. Last year, we fed 4,000 students, and we got an update from the food bank that there were over 38,000 students that they took care of.
Is there anything else that goes into those backpacks, such as toothpaste, socks?
We have that set up at the schools in case any of the counselors, social workers need it, that it's at their beck and call, whatever that they need it, they can just pick it up and give it to the students.
Scotty's question is there a room that is available that's set aside for this right now? Is that the question?
That meets your needs. Do you need like a separate entranceway?
It would have to be located
I know Mr. Brown
in
and
an area that would allow for in and out.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown and Mr. Stevens have showed us, but like I said, with the size that it is, we're going to need something.
And what's the immediacy? You need it right away or a month from now?
The initial start date, they wanted to be the first weekend in October, and I don't see that happening right now because all the food right now is at UP that will have to be moved up to the high school. So I'm waiting, and I know they're looking, but thank you for bringing that up.
That's all I have. Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
I have a question. Can I have an update on the sports complex, please?
Good.
And when you're talking, can you talk about the pool also?
Well, that's what I'm talking, that's what,
I thought you were talking about the field.
oh, no.
But
All right.
I'm sure everybody's anxious to hear about the lighting at the pool. We did receive the engineer's structural drawings on Thursday. We reviewed them, priced them. Wasn't real happy with their suggestions. We're actually looking at purchasing all new lights. In the interim, we've secured everything up there to make it safe and operable. And I spoke with the president of the Marlins late this afternoon, opened it up, so they're able to begin practice this Friday. Just want to make sure the whole area is cleaned and, you know, when you have debris falling, we want to make sure nobody's in bare feet could get hurt. So they're going to start practicing this Friday, learn to swim. They're already in the schedule for the first week in October.
And dive.
Pardon me?
And to swim and dive.
Mr.
We are looking at a diving board.
That's right.
Yeah, we have, when that apparatus fell, it did damage to one of the boards. I've had it removed just in case. We can't take the chance of that cracking or hurting somebody. So right now you have one board. So that's where we are with that, and I'm sure everybody here's seen the mountain of dirt being moved. So that project is underway.
At the baseball field.
That's correct.
Baseball, softball, library field, you know, that fencing's been removed. That area needs stripped as well. So all that's underway. At this point, we're expecting delivery of turf towards the end of next week.
Getting back to the pool, was that a structural deficiency or was that equipment?
It was a product of years of not having the equipment working prior to my employment here. There was a Dectron system, which we've replaced since. They didn't allow the men to fix it. So it was shut off for 8 to 10 years. That caused a lot of corrosion and, I mean, most of you have been there. So since I have gotten here, we had fixed it and made it operational until the time the board approved it, and then that system has been totally replaced.
Now, the engineers have gone through the whole pool area to see if any other structures might.
Well, the structures, it's a lot to explain, but what happened was, in my opinion, they used undersized fasteners for that particular item. They're 25 years old. So anything that's 25 years old could have issues. So, and to look around the district, you could have 100,000 of those things. So there's no real way to check every nut, bolt, fastener, and structural item throughout the entire district. The reason it failed was really because the equipment that should have been working wasn't. And it just caused issues. And when one fastener snapped, it caused a domino effect, and we lost that one row of light fixtures.
Thank you, Mr. Ron.
Do we have posted the secretary position to help? Okay, so that is.
We have, yes.
Okay.
I have 9 resumes on my desk, and Mrs. Isha has those as well. Yes.
So which secretary position are you talking about?
One to help Bob to.
And transportation.
Transportation and for maintenance, both sections just requested some part-time help to keep up on some paperwork and some phone calls and whatever else. I'm limiting their needs desperately in this conversation. I know there's more needs than that, but they put that together to meet what they both require, and Trish did her magic, and I just wanted to make sure that we asked for it and it was.
Excellent, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else for the committee report?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to piggyback on what Mr. Ritter said, the play date that the PTO from Ramsey, it was phenomenal. It was just to watch the kids engaged and having so much fun. I really loved it. Met a lot of the parents and teachers out that night, so that was something that I know then, and I told them too. I'm hoping that is an annual event, and even at other schools. On a previous Thursday, September 1st, I did manage to go to Cleveland Stewart's Meet the Teacher Night. I couldn't get to all of them because they all were on the same day, but that too, the turnout was really great. After I saw all the parents who were rushing in there after getting off work to be able to meet the teachers and spend a little time with them, and it was very, very enlightening to see that take place. And then also, just a couple of things. So you know that this is National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, because that's something that runs in my family, so that, just so you're. It's also National Suicide Awareness Month, and I was just dealing with someone I knew personally to help them get treatment and also keep those things, aware and on your agenda. And as far as children, this is National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and National Childhood Obesity Awareness Month. So those are all things when you relate to kids or even adults that we should be aware of. And another activity that's coming up on next Wednesday is the Rotary Club of Monroeville is inviting everyone, families and their children and everyone for the International Day of Peace. You'll see it in the Times Express coming up, and it's going to be September 21st from 6:30 to 8. We're working still to get high school students and elementary, whoever involved in it, but we want you to come out, because remember, when we're celebrating peace, we're not just talking about global and world peace. It begins with each of us. It begins in our communities and our homes. And when we talk about with kids, when we share about bullying and cyber, how to deal with and approach that, that's all part of wanting to be peacemakers too. And I think we need to engage our kids in an activity such as that. So what we have, engage youth peace builders, meet community leaders, the interfaith prayers, and we'll have some musical performances and a candlelight ceremony. And that is all, as I said, September 21st, 6:30 to 8 at the community park, and hopefully around the Peace Ball, though we may have a shelter. So try to encourage others to come out to that to promote peace.
So unfortunately, we have a poetry reading at Monroeville Public Library at the same time, starting from 7 o'clock till 8:30. So some of us may not be able to attend that.
That's
Poetry reading at Monroeville Public Library on that date.
Oh, it's on the
7:30,
same
8:30.
night.
Yeah, same time.
Same time. Well, maybe they could rush into one and get over to the other.
It's poetry and then go over to the Peace Ball.
Why don't we bring the poetry to you?
Anyone else? I usually do.
So I just want to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
That one of our resident pointed out me that I do not sing the Pledge of Allegiance. I guess nobody had told me that what kind of decibels I have to go up to. And so I think you should take it very seriously. And my apologies if I hurt your feelings. But singing out loud is not my strong point. Otherwise, I'm singing all over. And so I just give some forbearance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I just have one other thing. We have a lot of sports activities going on with our students. I believe there is a volleyball game going on right now, and there's soccer games. Yes, there's soccer, both going on. Yes, I am, but I just want to say I was lucky to be a chaperone going to North Hills with our students on the bus. We got great kids, and they make the support of supporting each other, and, find time to go out just to see everything these kids are doing. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week.